Hey there, I am the Overall Nerd. Now, there has been a lot of confusion about the X-Men timeline, especially after the release of Days of Future Past. Well, I'm here to tell you that there isn't one timeline, but three. Now, Timeline 1, let's call it the original timeline. It consists of X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men 3, and now Logan. Now, you're probably wondering, where is the Wolverine and Days of Future Past? Well, the reason for that is because, in my opinion, those movies don't take place in the original timeline. Also, there's been a lot of confusion as to when Logan takes place, in the new timeline or the old one. Well, I say Logan takes place in the original timeline. The reason for this, and mild spoilers for Logan if you haven't seen it, is that in the film, Logan is lost. He hasn't forgiven himself for the things he has done in the past and really has no quality of life. He hates what he's become and simply doesn't believe life is worth living anymore. This wouldn't make sense if the Wolverine took place in this timeline, as in that film he forgave himself for what he did to Jean and found a new purpose in life. Similarly, the Wolverine we see at the end of Days of Future Past can no way be the same Wolverine we see in Logan. But these movies do take place in the next timeline I'm going to speak about, Timeline 2. Timeline 2 consists of X-Men First Class, X-Men Origins, X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men 3, The Wolverine, and X-Men Days of Future Past. Now, this timeline is almost identical to the original, as all three of these original films take place in it. All the major events happen, such as the Weapon X program, and Jean Grey still dies at the hands of Wolverine. However, there are a few slight differences. The Charles and Eric we see in these films met when they were adults, not teenagers, as we see in First Class. Mystique in this timeline is Charles' adopted sister, whereas in the original timeline they had no relation at all. In X-Men 3, Charles does not die at the hands of Jean Grey, which is why we see him alive in Days of Future Past. Wolverine's claws, although they were chopped off, were grown back by Magneto by him manipulating the adamantium in his body. We see young Magneto do a similar thing in Days of Future Past when he lines the Sentinel's body with metal. So Days of Future Past has nothing at all to do with the original timeline. The Charles and Eric we see aren't the originals, but the James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender versions. Some might say then, why is the Xavier we see at the end of Origins standing? Well, I believe that Charles was never actually at the island, but planted the image of himself in the escaped mutants' minds, that he was there, which explains why they see him standing and not in a wheelchair, which he would have been due to the events of First Class. In addition to this, in this timeline, X-Men 3 plays out very differently, but ultimately ends up with Wolverine killing Jean. However, as we know, this timeline has been erased by Wolverine, as he was sent back in time to stop the dystopian future as we see in Days of Future Past. So the whole of Timeline 2 is replaced with a better and happier timeline where everyone is alive and well. However, Wolverine going back in time had consequently created another timeline, which we will call Timeline 3. Timeline 3 is the timeline we are in now. It consists of X-Men First Class, X-Men Origins before the Weapon X project, past events of Days of Future Past, X-Men Apocalypse, and any Deadpool and any future installments of X-Men. Wolverine going back in time resulted in Charles starting the X-Men much earlier than he did in other timelines, which explains why he looks so young and why he still had hair, which in the other timelines he didn't. This also explains why all the other X-Men are younger, such as Cyclops and Jean. In this timeline, Cyclops was brought to the mansion by his brother, opposed to being captured by Sabretooth and brought to the island, as we see in X-Men Origins. Also, in this timeline, when Wolverine wakes up in his younger body, I'm guessing that Sabretooth, his brother, was in prison or something, as they were still partners at this point in time, but got split up as a result of Logan taking over his younger body and going to the mansion. This resulted in Sabretooth, after getting released, going on without his brother, and who knows, he could appear in future installments. This resulted in the Weapon X program being forced upon Wolverine, opposed to Stryker tricking him into it. Stryker never assembled a team of mutants, he never created Deadpool, and he succeeded in erasing Logan's memory and making him the Animal. This is why the Deadpool we know now exists in this timeline, but in the future of this timeline. The last we see of Wolverine is him escaping, and we'll never see him again properly. So there it is, the X-Men timeline explained, or at least my interpretation of it. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with my theory. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions about my theory, let me know. But for now, this has been the Overall Nerd, and have a good one.